appreciate the opportunity to speak, to teach. I do this all the time in the Denver market here where I live, of where I've been teaching real estate investors for a long time. Like currently I've been teaching a class, how to create a pension using real estate, a 2-hour class for realtors and consumers. And I love to teach. I'm passionate about real estate. And it sort of fits. My favorite game as a kid was always Monopoly, and I almost never ever lost. I, my family quit playing with me by the time I was 11 or 12 because I always won, because I knew how to play the game. And so I was, tell you this, I've been invested here in Colorado. We've had as many as 10 units here in Colorado, and been in the process of selling them all and moving our properties to Alabama. And I thought I'd just tell you a little bit of why. Okay, why are we moving our real estate portfolio to Alabama? So I came up with, several things that I see, I notice, and, sometimes for those of you who are in Alabama, you may forget, wow, how great of a market it is. So maybe today might be a good refresher, or you can go, wow, that didn't think about that. So like one of the big things for me when I look at properties is one of the first things I do is sort of do the gross rent multiplier calculation in my head. And so like here in Denver, the gross rent multiplier is often 200 or higher. And so the price may be 400,000 and the rent's only 2,000 a month or less. And so the gross rent multiplier here is bad in the Denver market. Much better there in Alabama, especially like in the Birmingham market, where you can, find homes at a gross rent multiplier of 130, 135. And so that's one of the things that sticks out to me about the Alabama market, especially Birmingham. Another thing you may not realize is how cheap your property taxes and homeowners insurance are there. Like we have 3 homes under contract right now in Birmingham and Huntsville areas. And I think the taxes on each of them are about $60 a month, and the insurance is going to be about $50 or $60 a month is all as well. That, as a cash flow investor, that really helps us out, because in so many other states, taxes are many times higher than that, or the insurance is much higher than that. So like here in Colorado, my insurance on a single family home can easily be $200 a month. So that can really hurt cash flow. Another reason, and I'm a real estate stats geek and been studying real estate markets for a long time. And the biggest thing for me is always look, okay, where are people moving? Currently, people are moving south in our country. And I believe the southeast corner of our country, like Alabama, Georgia, Florida, and the Carolinas, are going to experience the greatest growth this decade. So believing that, I want to get in on the forefront of that and start investing there in the Birmingham market now rather than later, because I think there's some really great potential for the Alabama real estate markets and stuff for growth. As more people move there, that means more demand. And if you have a limited supply of homes for sale, that can only mean home prices are going to go up, which I know is what's already happening this year in a very sizable way in the Birmingham market. And just know this, we've been in that type of market in Denver for almost 8 years now, and it doesn't seem to get any better. Of where I remember when we dropped below 2 months of inventory 8 years ago, and I thought, hey, this can't last very long. Well, 8 years later, it's much worse than that. We're down to 9 days of inventory of homes for sale in the Metro Denver market. So our home prices are going up about 20% year over year. So this may be coming your way as well in the Birmingham area, okay? Where you're going to start seeing a lot more home price appreciation just because people are moving there. And COVID has definitely helped cause that even more. Who wants to live in Wisconsin or Michigan anymore if you're stuck inside year round? Why not move someplace warmer? and stuff. Another thing, I will say this. I mean, Alabama, and Birmingham especially is just, you guys are just starting to see some home price appreciation. You haven't, normally seen, looks like 2-3% a year for a long, long time. Well, I think Birmingham's time to soar is coming right now. So I won't be surprised if by 2030, if Birmingham home prices have maybe nearly doubled from where they're at today. So I want to be at the forefront of that appreciation that is probably going to happen in the Birmingham and Huntsville markets because of the growth that's happening. A lot of that growth is being fueled by, the city of Birmingham, and you go up to Huntsville, you're seeing it too, of the cities and the government are actually doing a great job of reinvesting into the city and bringing in great new employers, and just not employers in one sector, but employers in several sectors, so that you have a balanced economy, which is critical, so that if one sector goes down, it doesn't drag down the whole economy. And it's one thing Denver leaders have done really well over the last 30 years, because 35 years ago, when oil and gas crashed in 1985, the Denver real estate market crashed too. And I've heard stories of how there were like signs up in downtown Denver, like the last one out, please turn off the lights. Downtown Denver was just bare because oil in our city, everything was based on oil and gas then. But now we're based in 9 or 10 different sectors, and I'm seeing that in Birmingham and then Huntsville too. So that's a really good sign for you guys economically of why I want to be investing in the Alabama real estate markets like Birmingham and Huntsville. Because the cities are investing, the counties, the state are investing. Another factor you may not realize, one of the top reasons why I'm leaving the Colorado real estate investor market is we have become a very blue state politically, and we're becoming like California and Colorado. And there are multiple laws and stuff that may come on the books this year that could make it very, very difficult to ever evict a tenant in Colorado. Or unlike there in Alabama, it's real easy, and you can even, get a judgment against them and stuff. We can't do that in Colorado. And there's a proposal going through our State House and State Senate that it's going to become incredibly expensive. It could be $5,000 to $10,000 to evict a tenant. And so I don't want to own investment real estate in Colorado anymore. And I know lots of other investors here that I'm talking to that are looking to sell all their holdings in Colorado and move elsewhere. And Alabama is just a great state to be a real estate investor in. And so that's just hopefully a good reminder for you of how landlord friendly your laws are, which is really how it should be, because we're the ones that are the homeowners. We're the ones that put up the money, to buy the property. We're the ones liable for the mortgage and stuff. It should be more friendly for us as the real estate investor. Next, I was going to say, my wife and I were just out there about 3 weeks ago, or maybe 4 weeks ago now, in mid-April. And it was my first trip to Alabama in over 20 years. And I must just say, I was like, wow, I was so impressed. We spent 4 days in Birmingham and 1 day down in Auburn because I have an old college friend that lives down there. And my wife and I both were like, wow, I could see us living here someday. Because we loved the state, how green it was, how green it is. And let me tell you this, Birmingham probably has more trees in 1 square mile than all of the entire metro Denver area has. Because we're very arid here. And it was just beautiful, green rolling hills and stuff. And we were like, wow. I've only spent a little bit of time in southern, far south Alabama. I remember flying in and out of Dothan before. And I'm like, wow, Birmingham and Auburn both are great cities that I could see either, that we could see ourselves living in. So I can see why people are moving to Alabama, because you have beautiful cities and the cities have reinvested in themselves to redo all the new development going on around downtown. Like I saw your new baseball stadium there in Birmingham. And I must say this, your minor league team might be better than our major league team here in Colorado and Denver. I think we do have the worst major league baseball team in the country here in Denver. So your minor league team might be better than our major league team. I love what Birmingham is doing there and the growth that you're starting to experience. So that excites me. And like we finally got a property under contract in Shelby County last Friday with Manisha, and Shelby County is really where I wanted to be because it sort of reminded me of one of our big counties here in Metro Denver called Douglas County. Douglas County for 20 years was one of the fastest growing counties in the country from about 95 through 2015. And it's also the wealthiest county, the most highly educated county in Colorado. And when I started doing my demographics research, Shelby County's a little bit like Douglas County in that way here in Colorado. So that was just something that really impressed me. And that was just, some of the reasons why we're investing in Alabama to create cash flow for ourselves, both now and in the future. My goal is to have each property paid off in, 10 to 12 years and possibly sooner. And the nice thing is, holy cow, my mortgages are a lot smaller too. I think our mortgages on some of our properties, like one property is like $73,000 is the mortgage, another one's $90,000. Wow, I can pay those off pretty quickly. And so I just think Alabama is a great market to be investing in. And, I may very well be teaching investors in Colorado soon about it. So you may have more competition there. So I would encourage you to buy sooner than later. So what questions do maybe people have of me?
Lonnie, I do have a question. I think I have a few. Now, you
Okay.
mention GRM, gross rent multiplier. Can you tell the audience what that is and how you calculate that?
Yeah. Okay. What I do is I just take, say, the purchase price of the home divided by the estimated monthly rent. So like say in my example, I use like say here in Denver, shoot a single family home, you can't find anything under 400,000. It's hard to find anything under 450. So if I take 400,000 divided by the monthly rent of about 2,000 a month on that house, they give me a gross rent multiplier of 200. So like the property Manisha helped me put under contract, I bid 145. I'm hoping it will rent for about 1,100 a month. So that puts my gross rent multiplier at 131, which is so much better than what I can do in Denver. And so that's just sort of a down and dirty number I like to look at to see whether or not I want to even bid on a property.
That's cool. That's cool.
So
And I know a lot of investors do that.
Yeah, there's different names to it. I just called, I've heard it called first and foremost a gross rent multiplier, and that's the one I like. I've heard it called the price to rent ratio and other things too. So.
Hey, Lonnie, so in that case, the lower the multiplier, the better?
Yep, exactly. I've always said the holy grail is 100. If you could ever find a property with a gross rent multiplier of 100 or less, holy shit, buy that thing in a heartbeat, even if it looks like a piece of shit. Just because that kind of a gross rent multiplier is really rare. It's impossible here in Colorado. but it could still be possible there. You know, so that would just be a huge holy grail number to try to shoot for. I don't know if that's even possible. You probably find it in multifamily, I bet there, but I've also known from seeing what Manisha said. I mean, there's not a lot of multifamily in Birmingham, at least not small multifamily.
Yeah, not to sell. Now, I will tell you that if you get into the lower GRM, then you're also getting into the areas that are a little bit more riskier.
Yeah, they can definitely be rougher areas, you know, and you have to be careful. You know, you got to remember as an investor, you're not living there. But you also got to be not such a bad area that you're still okay going there day or night in case something happens. I know, like when we were out, my wife and I were out there a month ago. We looked at a property that's for sale in Bessemer, in the old part of Bessemer. And my wife and I were both like, oh boy, this one's a little too rough for us. I would not want to drive in this part of Bessemer at night. You know, so, you know, everyone has their own risk threshold, and you just have to decide what yours is of how much you can take. And maybe if you're a woman, even more so, you probably have to be even more careful, you know, unless you're a martial arts expert.
Yeah, and that's what we tell our students and our investors. It depends what kind of risk that you want to take depends, or return that you're looking for really depends on what kind of risk you want to take. And if you know how to balance the risk and reward. I mean, I know investors, who's like really, really into 20% return, 25% return, but then they know how to mitigate that risk, and that's okay for them. Part of their business, they do it day in, day out, and they're okay with that. But for some of us, that might not be a good thing for us. So we just need to kind of bring our needle back and kind of balance it to where both of these work for you.
Yeah, and the other thing I'll just say really quickly is you have to decide what are your goals and objectives. If you're looking for more appreciation, the gross rent multiplier shouldn't be as important. So in nicer A or B neighborhoods, your gross rent multiplier is going to be higher, but you may have more appreciation potential. So you have to decide what your goals are, and your goals may vary based on the properties you're buying. You may go, hey, on these 2 or 3 properties, I want really good cash flow. Then you may balance it out with another 1 or 2 properties that don't have as much cash flow, but may have more appreciation potential. And so that's your choice. You get to decide what you want to do.
Okay, Lonnie, so now I do have a question. We're going into the market, right? Submarkets. What are the things that you look for when you're looking for return?
I mean, like say every property I've looked at, whether it be from an MLS or elsewhere, I'm going into Google Maps and I want to see what stores are nearby, especially within 2 to 3 miles. Because there are certain stores that just do a phenomenal job of market research.
Yeah.
You know, Starbucks is one of them. Super Walmarts, Home Depots, your big grocery stores. I know they're like Winn-Dixie and stuff. If I see those, or even a CVS pharmacy or Walgreens pharmacy nearby, those are all really good signs for me. Because each of those companies probably spend hundreds of thousands of dollars doing research into any given area before they ever build a store there. And so I will piggyback on their research, and go, okay, I'll buy a home there. If they're willing to put a Starbucks store 1.5 miles away, hey, I'm willing to buy a rental property there. So that's really what I go and look for. Now, in some cases too, I'll use Google Street Maps. There was a home I thought about buying in Sylacauga, because I know we drove through Sylacauga back and forth to Auburn. Initially, I was like, nah, no way. But then I saw, guess what? There's a Home Depot, a Super Walmart, and a Starbucks there.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Yeah.
3 great stores, plus like 2 major grocery stores, a Winn-Dixie and another one. I think it was maybe a Piggly Wiggly. I don't remember now for sure. And I thought, wow, but then like say this street anyway, I was going up and down the Google Street Maps and I saw lots of cars sitting in yards, in the front yards of the homes. And I'm going, that's not to me a very good sign.
Yeah.
So I'm
We're
like,
trying to
no, I'll
find
wait for something a
volume
little
too.
better.
Topaz, can you mute yourself?
Okay.
There you go. Okay. All right. Yeah, that sounds great. Anyone else has any questions?
Yes, hi, this is Michael. Glad to meet you all. I am coming sort of brand new to real estate, and I haven't really thought about it until the last year. The lockdown and COVID had me look at interesting opportunities to invest and or retire and or look to have passive income beyond the stock market, mutual funds, and bonds. So I am coming from the crypto world. I invest and hold and trade cryptocurrency and have been for quite some time. And I am looking into the real estate. I really don't want to buy physical property per se or hold physical property. And I've been looking into getting the REITs, REITs.
Yep, REITs.
REITs, and I'm actually involved with a local. I'm Birmingham, born and bred, so I exactly know the 280 trip you took because my sister lives down that way.
Okay.
Yeah, and she lives in Harpersville, so it's not too far from Childersburg, which is not too far from Sylacauga.
Yep.
But the investment group that I'm in, the real estate group, we sort of combine with the cryptocurrency group. And they told me to look into REITs. And that's probably my huge interest in it. I see real estate as an investment for passive income. I don't mind risk taking, but I have enough risk with cryptocurrency that I don't necessarily need to take on more risk. So I'm not against having, very minimal passive income per month, per year for the next 20 years, because I am looking to retire, but I'm also not against working. I currently work remote, so I don't necessarily have to be in Birmingham anyway. And the company I work for, they are halfway around the world. So it's a cryptocurrency startup. So
Wow.
We're not beholden to being in one place like some real estate investors. They have to move to go where the market is. I'm not beholden to that. So I can actually just go to the beach somewhere and just look on my portfolio and see what the property is doing with my REIT. And that's the idea I had. I'm not very knowledgeable in this area at all. I don't consider myself owning or purchasing or selling a house. I'm sort of using Mark Cuban's example that once you pay off down all debt, whether it's private or public, you are retired. So that's where I'm shooting for that goal. I really don't want to own a house, but I want to own a house without owning a house. So yeah, just to be brief, that's where I'm looking in and going into trying to find a way to get into this market that I have no clue about. So yeah, that's where I'm at.
Okay, great. So like say with REITs, our real estate investment trust, you want to be real careful what you're investing in there. I would stay away from probably almost any investment that's in commercial office space, especially in that invests in major cities. Like here in Denver and so many other major cities, I think our downtowns have been decimated and may remain that way for many years. Because I don't think a lot of companies are going to bring back all their employees to big downtown offices that where they had 1,000 employees before. So I'd be careful about REITs that invest in commercial office buildings. I'd be careful about retail as well. Maybe the only retail I would do is making sure I'm investing in ones that there's a big grocery store, like a Winn-Dixie down there, or a Safeway, King Soopers, some type of Kroger chain that is the anchor, because those will probably continue to do well because everyone needs groceries every day. Okay. Apartments can still be really good just because our population boom. So REITs can be, a good option for you. Another one, if you're an accredited investor, you can buy what are called DSTs, Delaware Statutory Trusts, which are like a REIT, but at a much higher level of where you can buy, shares into different buildings or communities and stuff. And they can be really good. I may buy some of those in the near future too.
Yeah, it's just I'm reading a lot about real estate this year. It's just not something I thought about getting into it years ago, but I got stumbled into the cryptocurrency industry and sort of never looked back. But this past year really made me reconsider not only diversifying my portfolio, but getting into a portfolio that doesn't necessarily rely on Wall Street per se. So this would include crypto, precious metals, and of course, real estate.
Yeah, something that's a lot more stable. Whereas I know, was it 2 weeks ago, and President Biden announced his new capital gains tax plans, and cryptos crashed that day, I heard.
Yeah, well, that's normal.
I know they've recovered.
They recovered, yeah.
Real estate doesn't have those type of day-to-day booms or busts. That's one of the great things about real estate. It moves much slower, which honestly is good, because us as human beings, we think we're logical when we're investing, but most of the time our buy and sell decisions are very emotional. So that's why most investors in the stock market and mutual funds and ETFs, their rate of return is maybe 25, 30% of what the market's actually doing, because they're buying and selling at the wrong times. The nice thing about real estate is it takes longer. So it takes much longer to buy and sell, whereas, stock you can buy or sell in seconds. Real estate, takes 30 days. So you have a lot of time to really think about it.
Yeah.
So it takes away some of those emotions. And that's another reason why I love real estate. You don't get those big ups and downs like you do with stocks, bonds, mutual funds, cryptos, that kind of thing. And I think it works better for us as who we are as human beings, as emotional beings.
Yeah, I would like to sort of offset my risks with non-risk, and real estate seems to be the least not a riskiest portfolio addition. Precious metals can be risky depending on a few factors in the market.
Right.
But they're not as risky as crypto. And I don't mind the risk. I knew I was going into it with that mindset. And it's gotten to the point to where I don't want to retire just having crypto in my portfolio.
Yeah.
So I'm just thinking ahead, and I don't have a 401k. I don't trust having it in the stock market at this time. Or any other time after this year. So I'm looking at more stability because I got my risk. I know what I need to do in order to be less risky with my crypto, but I don't mind that. That's what I got into it for. But, I want to stabilize. I want to have moderate growth, and I want to, and reinvest in the state I lived in for most of my life. And single family homes are definitely booming here. In this state, I've noticed that 280 corridor is just continuing on from Inverness all the way down to Sylacauga and further down to Phoenix City. And then you got Trussville, you got Gadsden, Florence, Huntsville, Madison, Dothan, and of course, Baldwin County is just a big ball of growth. So I know the state. I know probably where potential markets will thrive. At least potentially, considering I've driven on most of the state, around the state. So I have experience in that, and I'm not looking to flip houses. I really dislike that aspect of real estate investment, but I don't mind helping people, but also helping myself as well.
Yeah. What you might be able to do is be the finance person, sort of the hard money lender for fix and flippers.
Okay. Yeah.
Where I know, like here in the Denver market, they typically charge a rate of 10 to 12% with like 2 discount points that the buyer has to pay at closing, for this short-term loan. Maybe you're the funding source for some fix and flippers. So they're doing the hard work and some of the riskiest stuff. Now you'll need to get real familiar with the real estate market and understanding it, and understanding as well what rehab costs should be and stuff, because you could get burned even as the lender, because if you got to know what the renovation costs are going to be, and is their budget good, are they realistic and stuff, and then knowing, okay, what's the home going to resell for? And that can be tough, in any market, but I think even tougher now because the market's so darn crazy. You could assume, prices will be 10% higher in 4 months, but there's no guarantees. But maybe you might be a silent lender partner with someone else who has that background knowledge, and you provide the money. I don't know, that might be another source for you to get into it.
Yeah, that's a good way. And even in Birmingham market, if you're a private lender, you can get anywhere from 10 to 15%.
Yeah, I just think you would need a partner who understands the rehab side of things and stuff, and reselling them and stuff, and partnering up together. There's always people with wisdom and knowledge who don't have as much money as you may have. So sometimes the money and wisdom can come together and work really well for both of you.
Yeah, great partnership. That could be a great partnership that can result in great things. That's for sure. Yeah.
Now I'll have to ask that with my real estate group. We're meeting again in May 20th. Before our head of the group is going to South Africa for a family visit. He'll be doing that off and on during the summer. But he's very much knowledgeable in real estate. I don't know his situation financially. I would have to ask him, but our group is growing. We had 2 people 3 weeks ago. Now we have 10. Well, you know how RSVPs go on Meetup. It just depends.
Yeah. But so there's some opportunities there for you. What are some other questions other people have too?
Anyone has any other questions for Lonnie? About Birmingham market, Alabama market, or even, market at a national level?
Hey, Lonnie, I know I heard you say earlier that you got some friends down in Auburn or something, and that got you a trip to Auburn, got you keen on the state. Is that the real tie to what made you interested in Birmingham and Huntsville? I mean, I hear what you're saying about the Southeast growing. I've seen, I see a lot of statistics and figures and stuff that kind of say the same thing, as far as, population movement and migration and stuff. A lot of folks, leaving the Northeast and leaving the West, and, not really leaving the South, but coming to the South. But I guess my question, really boils down to what made you, more interested in Birmingham, Huntsville markets over other bigger, faster growing cities in the Southeast, maybe like Nashville, Charlotte,
Okay.
places like that?
Okay. Great question. I mean, to me, Nashville is years ahead. So the market is so saturated there, and it's been so hot for several years already. So that makes it harder to make the numbers work, like say in Nashville. Charlotte is one of the new hot cities in the country for the last couple of years. And so I prefer to go where maybe the national media isn't saying to go there yet. So and I just go, I've always thought of, I was initially always going to do more Huntsville, but the prices are a little higher than Birmingham. I like what Birmingham's been doing too. I mean, in Huntsville, there's just such a highly educated workforce up there and stuff because of NASA and stuff. And then Space Force got relocated from Colorado Springs to there, and there's just a lot of opportunities in both cities, I think, for an investor that I just liked better. Atlanta's experienced a lot of growth too, and I thought about there, but the prices are much higher. Or to find something affordable, you're going out 50, 60 miles from Atlanta. And then I go, okay, is it worth it? I've looked into Florida. Sometimes in Florida, you have problems because the property taxes can be so much higher there. And I always worry a little bit about hurricanes and stuff in parts of Florida. Whereas, like, say, Birmingham and Huntsville, I don't think I have to worry about hurricanes there. Yeah, I'd have to worry a little bit about tornadoes, but there's not much I can do about that. And if I'm not living there, it doesn't impact me as much. Whereas, like, say, a hurricane, like, say, if I was buying down in Mobile, how do I, as an investor, a Category 3 storm is coming my way. How do I come and get down there and put up plywood on all my windows? I just can't do that. So I just really liked, and I looked heavily for a couple years at the Kansas City market too. But then it dawned on me, yeah, Kansas City's experiencing a ton of growth, but it's no further south than Denver is. It's really still sort of a Midwest city. And I decided, you know what, I want to be in the South because I think that's where the growth is going to be. So did that answer your question?
Yeah, it sounds like we're in a sweet spot.
Yeah, you really are. Where, the Birmingham market, I think, is just starting to take off.
And people don't know about it yet. I mean, it's not like people don't, but it's still, kind of where people can get in and not.
Yeah, you're in the very early stages of a potential boom in Birmingham, and you may be looking back, in 3 years and go, holy cow, I wish I'd bought more real estate, here, because prices maybe by then have already gone up 25% or something, and rents have gone up as well because of so many people moving there. Because once the word gets out into national media of how great a city, it is, people do still read. They don't read papers as much, but they do read stories online and go, wow, honey, we can live anywhere. Why not? We go to Birmingham, home prices are a third of what they are here. We don't have snow and cold winters. I mean, like today, we've had off and on rain and snow showers all day here in Denver.
Yeah, so we're Birmingham, it sounds like it's a good place to invest right now.
Yeah, I think so. That's why we're doing it. And I will continue to do it. And I will just give a little plug to Manisha, where I've so enjoyed working with her. And she's one hard working agent of where I've sent her out of I don't know how many homes to go look at for me and to provide different market intelligence and pictures and stuff for me. So, just thank you so much, Manisha. And it's been hard and stuff, for us, but I love working with Manisha. So thank you.
Absolutely, absolutely. I enjoyed working with you as well. Yeah, sorry. But yeah, any other questions? Anything else that you guys want to ask? Lonnie,
This is,
Hiren,
yeah, this is Hiren. One more thing I would like to add in Birmingham area is I hear from people visiting that sounds like it's a good place for foodies as well in Birmingham, downtown and those areas. There are a lot of great restaurants.
yeah, that's
Yeah,
for
there is. I mean, we stayed in the Inverness area and we quickly found Big Bad Breakfast. We went there every day for breakfast. I wish we had a Big Bad Breakfast in Colorado.
Wow.
Hey, that's a business idea for you, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there were some great, I was surprised, some great restaurants. Like another one we ate at twice. It was called I think it's just called the Grill or something like that there in Inverness, right by a hotel that we stayed at. It was a Mexican grill, and it was dang good too. Like, wow. I was
Yeah.
surprised to find such great Mexican food in Alabama.
Mhm.
Yeah, and
So-
here, that's true. That's very true. And like downtown, all these ethnic like restaurants and food that has really taken off as well.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Can't deny that Alabama, especially Birmingham, Huntsville, is definitely growing. And
Oh, yeah.
it can go up. Anyone else? Anyone else has any questions, any comment, concerns, feedback?
Do y'all have any classes?
Now, you're talking about real estate classes in general?
Correct.
Yeah, we do. So we at Batson Associates School of Real Estate, we offer several classes. We have some paid classes and we do have some free courses as well. The ones that's coming up for us next month is our pre-license course for real estate agents. And we just launched it. That's brand new for us. We're very excited about it. Let us know if you want to register or go to our website, batsonassociates.com. And we also do have investment courses as well. We do have coaching programs for investments. Me and Tanya, we do. We do see some of our students are here is in this class as well, or in this meetup as well. So we do it all. We do the courses, we do the classes, we do coaching and things like that, and meetup. Yeah,
Don't
and
be
too.
Yeah, and I would just, tell people, don't be afraid to invest in yourself, to learn more about real estate investing and stuff. Where if you're not willing to invest in yourself, who the hell is?
And
And I've invested hundreds of thousands of dollars into my training and sales training and coaching over the years and real estate training. But hey, it's made me millions of dollars too. So don't be afraid to invest in yourself and just go do it. You're worth it.
Understood. Thank you.
Yeah, and like Warren Buffett says, right, the best investment that you can make is investing in yourself. So that's definitely true, and I've done the same, and that's how we've learned.
Roger. Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah, well, thank you so much, Lonnie, for coming on and sharing your knowledge and educating us and telling us about your experience with Birmingham and Alabama. We really appreciate it. And thank you for your kind words.
Well, you are welcome, and thanks for asking me to come do this. It was fun.
Yeah, yeah. And you know, we should kind of do this pretty often, maybe once 6 months or so. I would love to do that.
Yeah, we can definitely do that and stuff. So.
And I